Good day, guys. You're welcome to government class for today. Now, if you remember, in the last class, we discussed colonial administration in Nigeria. Now, we looked at the meaning of colonial administration and the forms of colonial administration in Nigeria, the structure and the composition. Today, we want to learn the system adopted in Nigeria. And that system is referred to as indirect rule. So we shall be learning indirect rule in our today's class. But before we go into the lesson, I want us to look at the objective that all of us must be able to achieve at the end of the lesson. Number one objective, every student should be able to explain the meaning of indirect rule. Number two, all of us, especially the students, should be able to identify and explain reasons for indirect rule. And lastly, we have to evaluate indirect rule in the northern part of Nigeria, whether it was successful or it was a failure. Let's go into the lesson proper. All right, what is indirect rule? Now, indirect rule could be said to be an intermediary rule, a system that uses intermediary. Now, let's look at what is written on the board. This is a system of government adopted by Britain in which traditional rulers served as intermediaries between the government, that means the colonial masters, and the people. The traditional rulers govern their people under the supervision of the British officials. We can see from this definition that indirect rule is the system that made use of the traditional rulers. Now, the traditional rulers were the one ruling. Are you with me? They were the one ruling, while the colonial masters were at the background controlling what was happening. Let's look at the reasons for adopting indirect rule in Nigeria. Number one reason why Britain had to adopt indirect rule in Nigeria, number one, is inadequate personnel. They had few men that were present in Nigeria, so it was not wise for the few men to get involved in direct administration. Hence, they adopted indirect rule, making use of the traditional rulers to rule the people. Also, shortage of funds. Now, a school of thought said that Britain never wanted to get involved financially. So they were looking for excuses not to get involved financially. So they said they were actually running short of funds to run the colonies. So they said, instead of running the colonies with their direct money, so they adopted indirect rule instead. Also, existing political system. The political system that was on ground at that time supported indirect rule, especially in the northern part of Nigeria and also partially in the west. The system supported indirect rule. Also, the success of indirect rule in India. Indirect rule was introduced in India and it was highly successful. So they saw it that since it was successful in India, it could be successful in Nigeria too. Also, the largeness of the area. Nigeria is a very big area. So for a particular set of people to administer Nigeria, they need a lot of individuals. So, and because they did not have a lot of people on ground, they needed people on ground to administer their people. Also, language barrier. So many people did not understand English at that time. Also, unfavorable climate condition. And lastly, poor transportation system. All these reasons or factors made the British colonial master to adopt indirect rule in Nigeria. So let's look at indirect rule in northern part of Nigeria. Was it a success or a failure? So let's look at it one after the other. Now, indirect rule in Nigeria was a success, a huge success in the northern part of Nigeria. Why was it a success? Let's look at it one after the other. Centralized administration. In northern part of Nigeria, the system of government was a centralized one. Mind you, when we were looking at pre-colonial administration in northern part of Nigeria, I told you that the practice monarchical and theocratic system of government, in which their system, the rules and regulations could not be questioned. So the centralized administration made it possible for indirect rule to thrive in northern part of Nigeria. Also, the emirs were powerful. They were semi-gods. Their authority could not be questioned. Also, Sharia law was also one of the factors that promoted indirect rule. Existence of taxation system. You know, the British colonial master introduced this system of taxation, but because it was already in existence in northern part of Nigeria, it became successful. Two of them were able to run hand in hand. Also, the presence of few educated elites made the indirect rule in northern part of Nigeria to be highly successful. We shall be learning more of this in our Google Classroom. See you there.